For Creamer Media's Engineering News, I'm Leandi Kolfer. National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications Automotive Technical Specialist Dries van Tonder joins me in studio to discuss the ways in which the NRCS assists the automotive components industry. Welcome, Dries. Firstly, what does the NRCS's regulatory method entail?
The National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications regulatory method exists of three legs basically. First of all, each and every person that wishes to sell either a vehicle or a component needs to get approval before he can offer such products for sale. The approval process is then, the first of all is the approval, which also within vehicles are spoken about, named homologation. Now the homologation is a word that comes from the French, and it in reality just means approval. So you'll have initial approval whereby the individual will bring the product to us as the regulator. From there, he will also present then evidence that says that this product that he wishes to offer for sale meets with a compulsory standard. The evidence is a test report that is done by an accredited laboratory. An accredited laboratory is an entity that belongs to a worldwide approved entity which calls themselves ILAC, International Laboratory Accreditation Certification, where South African laboratories, as also your European and Korean, Chinese, all laboratories that wishes to participate in the scheme has to meet the requirements of that. Therefore, you will then get the test report that was done by this laboratory. It gets given to the regulator with the sample, may it be a vehicle or it may be the component. We will compare the two to each other. The standard then will also be playing a role, because you could be submitting something but does not meet the standard as was approved by the government of South Africa. Speaking about the standards in South Africa within automotive, about 99% of all our standards are internationally adopted standards. We are part of the UNECE 1958 and 1998 agreement, also referred to as the WP29. The WP29 has got technical committees where then standards are internationally discussed. Therefore, if a vehicle, for instance, is manufactured in Europe and it meets those international standards, for all purposes that vehicle should have easy access to South Africa. This does not mean that we will just accept it on face value. We still have to make sure that that vehicle or that component meets with such a standard. Yes, it does so happen that somebody may be presenting what we call the golden egg, prepared something specifically to meet the compulsory requirements. And then afterwards, they might be bringing in a substandard product. That's the second leg of our regulatory method, being conformity of production inspections. Our inspectors go out on a daily basis to all of these manufacturers, importers or builders, where we make sure that that product that we've originally homologated or approved, that it still meets the same standard. Now we get to the third leg, and that is the sanctions leg. Let's assume that the inspector gets to the premises of such an importer or manufacturer, and all of a sudden the product is not of the same. He's got doubt. He may then say to the importer or the manufacturer that he wishes to have that product tested, or he wishes to request another test report. If at that given moment the manufacturer cannot give it, or the inspector outright sees that there is a non-compliance, he then will issue what we call a directive. A directive will stop that manufacturer or importer to offer that product for sale. It's basically putting that product in an embargo. He can't touch it. We will then go through a process where we will interact with such a manufacturer or an importer to see, can that product be corrected? A simple one, if there's, for instance, a sticker that's missing, we will go into a process where the manufacturer or the importer will show us I can do this within a short period, and will it be acceptable as per the standard? If it is, then we will draw that directive and he can proceed. If such a non-compliance is of such that he cannot change it, then we will not accept him, or we will not allow him to offer that product for sale in South Africa. There's then a process. Our board then gives specific instructions. Such instructions may be that he has to send back that product to, if it's an imported product, to the country where it came from. If we decide, but we don't want to go that route, we want to destroy that product locally, we will go through such a process.
And then just what are some of the challenges that the automotive component sector is faced with?
The biggest challenges that we've got are the individuals or companies that do not want to play ball. They will bring in the golden egg as approval, and then after that they will bring in a substandard product. Fortunately, that is why our inspectors are out there to make sure that these products are not offered for sale in the country. The other problem that we might be facing is that people will bring in products that are either too early in a newest level from the European standards or to an older standard. This does not mean that it won't meet our requirements. If we just talk about a vehicle, for instance, manufactured in Europe, are we talking about emissions? If a vehicle is manufactured in England to the latest emission standard, it's a much higher standard than what South Africa are applying. This would, however, not cause this vehicle to be non-compliant. Only problem might be that the owner of that vehicle might not be getting the correct fuel to drive that vehicle. It's not a major problem because our local fuel manufacturers, they make sure that they've always got the latest fuel available, but maybe not on the quantities that we would like. I know also we are part of the process of uplifting our emissions level, and we're part of Department of Trade and Industry as well as Energy to uplift our standards to a different level.
Thank you very much. That was Dries van Tonder from the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications speaking about the automotive components industry.